Well, hey, neighbor, it's me, Angie. Come on in. This is our live neighborhood chat. Yeah, I didn't put up a. I thank y'all for coming and visiting me today. I'm glad y'all were here. And I'm going to have to tell you all that I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. And I will have my neighborhood.
Hi, everyone.
Everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome in. Hey, Josie, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good for a Thursday afternoon. It's beautiful here. It's been 81 degrees today. The sun's been shining. Uh, Last night was James's last night to work. Thank goodness. After 8 nights, I get so tired of the nights. But I made it another night shift, the 8 nights, and he's off for a few days, and he's off for
good.
Easter, and the family's coming, so that's a good thing.
That sounds good. Good.
Um,
And
what are you doing for Sunday? You going to your son's for Easter?
is Easter already? When
Not
is
this
it?
Sunday, but next.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's
The
usually
20th. It's on the 20th.
they usually have dinner at my son's house or her sister who lives just a few houses down the street, which makes it nice. So
Oh, I didn't realize your daughter-in-law had family in California.
yeah, her sister actually lives, we just walk over there.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And then her mom lives about not quite an hour away. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And then all my family was in Northern California, but let's face it, the majority of them, other than my cousins, the rest of them are all gone.
Well, I think Josie has made it. I think tonight is going to be another good topic for everyone. I hope we have some to come in. If not, maybe some people will catch it on the replay and really get something out of it. Because when you and I started doing this, that's what we really wanted, is for everyone that listened within hearing, that could hear us, would just take one little something that we say, and it may change their opinion or their thoughts or their idea about something or someone. You know, we always said we're not here to dictate over this platform that we have. We just want to, just be here to facilitate, and let the chat really communicate with us.
We're going to learn right along with the audience. When we don't know it all. We just
this week, this month is about communication. And you don't know how in depth you can really get into a topic until you are challenged to study that topic. There's so many eye-opening things to a topic that you don't realize. And just a little word like communication, you think, oh, I know all about communication.
It's not just talking. It's not just talking.
No, and you really don't. I mean, I didn't. And I'm 57 years old, and I'm happy to learn new things every day. That's what I live for, is to learn more and more every day, positive things, to share with people or to grow myself, into a better person. But that's what it's about tonight, is communication. All right, let's see who's here.
Who's here?
We got Ella. She came in early. I don't know if she's still here, but she's waving, telling us hello, letting us know she was here. Thank you for dropping by, Ella. I don't know if you're still here or not. But thank you. We love you, and you know we do. And there's Pam's treasures. Hey, Pam. Welcome
California
in.
exists years ago. It's Mr. Doggy Dog. I guess you don't like California.
Well, Mr. Doggy Dog is something else. Pamela, welcome
Yeah,
in.
I kind of agree with you, though.
Angie, California ceased to exist years ago. It's California. I don't think I could survive in California. For one thing, the cost of living.
The
I,
cost of living is killing me. Yeah.
I
I
don't
only
think
live here because my son's here. And let's face it, I'm old.
Ella's still here. Awesome, Ella.
Hey, hi, Ella. That the cost of living is horrible in the politics. Can I throw that in?
You can throw that
Hopefully,
in because I do follow y'all's views because they're so radical that you have to go, wait a minute, what? What did they just say? And step back and say to yourself, do they really believe what they're saying? But obviously they do.
the only thing good about California is the weather.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. I bet it's
Points
beautiful.
this out to me that the cost of living is. I don't see my Social Security check. It doesn't even cover my rent. I have to add to it for just my rent.
Well, Josie, I would think that if I decided to move to California, James would have to have a job that would pay the cost of us living there. You understand what I'm saying? He would have to have a fantastic income for us to live the comfortable life that we live here in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah. I will tell you, I got my note over here. I will tell you, and I'm sure the rent's going to go up again. Just my rent is $15,948 a year.
See, that's insane. And you have a 1-bedroom, right?
Little less than 500 square feet.
That is insane.
Wait a minute, take it back. It's $17,556.
Josie, that is somebody's yearly pay. I mean, really.
Not in California. I'm poverty in California. Anyway, that's why I do auctions. Even if someone had a negative remark and said I was lying that I was wealthy. Sure.
Well, I just can't. Now, don't get me. Let's communicate here. Don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. I love for you to be on as much as you are on YouTube, but I can't imagine you doing it without a reason. You know what I'm saying? You saying you need it for your income. I have to believe that because who wants to stay on YouTube as much as you do just to be on it? You know what I'm saying?
I work 7 days a week. And I'm not exaggerating when I say
I know you do. Yes.
Yeah. I'm blessed that God has given me the energy to do it. That, hey, I take day by day. I don't take life for granted.
Claudette said, that's high rent, Josie, though you are in California.
Yep. And
okay, let me tell you something, Josie. What? Rent today. All right, I live in Mississippi. Okay, so the rent that, let's just say, an apartment your size here in Mississippi, they would probably pay $750 to $900 a month for that apartment here, and that's what you pay there.
I pay $1,343 or $63 a month.
Yeah, and they would probably pay $750 to $900.
And this is, by the way, unless you're on HUD, which I'm not, this is the cheapest in California. Rent goes anywhere from $2,500 to $8,000. Now, I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, that I'm very blessed that I can do what I can do. I don't know for how long, but I do what I can do to survive.
Yeah, that's the way we have to look at things. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
let Josie start a minute and
Okay.
share something that she like we said, we're talking about communication.
Okay. I printed a lot of different information, but there are 10 examples of communication essential skills. And I'll read this. Effective communication is the backbone of any successful relationship, whether personal or professional. It is the process of exchanging information, ideas, or messages between individuals or groups through a common system of symbols, signs, and behavior. And what I was telling Angie, being a nurse, my training, we were really taught the skills of body language. Communication, it doesn't have to be verbal, body language. When I had to admit a patient to the hospital, I could watch a person and they may say, "Hey, I feel fine." And, "Oh, it's okay. I feel fine." And looking at them, I knew they really weren't telling me the truth. They really didn't want to admit how terrible they felt. So that's why when I talk to somebody, I look eye to eye. It also, to me, is a trust thing. It's a way of communicating. In fact, if you sell on my auction, you at least have to show yourself at the beginning. I won't allow someone to sell on my auction unless they show themselves. To me, it's important to look at someone.
And I like to look at someone in their eyes when I speak to them. And I like for them to look at me. If they're looking away and can't look me in the eye, number one, I don't trust that person. I don't think they're telling me the truth when they can't look me in the eye and speak to me. I mean, this is just me speaking personally. Claudette says, it's funny because the 15 years that we owned our business, our company, our slogan was communication is key.
Yep. And I believe that 100%. Communication is, sometimes as humans too, our minds get carried away. We think we know what the other person is thinking, and we really don't. But if they would communicate and tell you what they were thinking, it's a two-way street. I don't know.
Just like you were talking about nonverbal, not always having to speak to communicate. When a newborn baby comes, that baby can't tell you if something's hurting, like if their ears or their throat or whatever. And you quickly, as a mom, have to pick up on what they're trying to tell you without speaking words because they don't know words. Same thing when a person gets older that has a stroke or has an illness and they can't speak. You have to pay attention to be able to pick up on what they're trying to communicate to you.
And to me, honesty goes along with communication. You can be honest, yet in a gentle way. You don't have to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I don't like your clothes," or "I don't like how you have your hair." You might go up and communicate and say, "I think maybe blue would look much nicer on you." There's a way of communicating.
You can say anything you want to say. It's just how you say it. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. And then here it says visual communication involves the exchange of information through visual aids such as images, videos, and graphics. It's a powerful form of communication that can convey complex information and engage audience. So that's why sometimes if you go into training, like with your job, occupation. You go into training, they use a lot of visual, a lot of films, you know. I'm going to use some of the old terms because let's face it, I'm old.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we can all understand what you're going to say because
movies, they showed movies and described things, and that is the visual. So you can actually see, and that engages the audience. And it can be used to build relationships.
And hey, Susan. Hey, Scooter Renee.
Written communication. Hi, Scooter.
Hey, Robin. Welcome in. Welcome in.
And written communication. And I think my personal feeling, written communication, one nice thing, well, a lot of nice things about it. You've got proof of what somebody says. But the only thing with written communication, and I think now that we're in the, you know, especially social media, YouTube world, people get behind a keyboard and they think they can say whatever they want, whether it's nice or not, where they might not say the things that they write. They may not say it to you face to face because they don't have the guts to.
Right. They would say it online or in an email, but when they got in front of you, they would not communicate the same way. That keyboard tends to allow them power, that, you know, strength to be able to, and when you're communicating, you know, think about this. When you're communicating in a negative way and you are lashing out at someone, it always makes me think, and I've done it in my past too, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I've lashed out to people, and then now that I look back, I think, oh my goodness, I had no idea what that person was going through. I didn't know if they really meant what they said. A lot of times we got to have, you know, your tone, you know, the way you communicate. And a lot of people don't like tones, so they automatically lash out, you know, when someone tries to communicate with them. So tone is very important when you are communicating with someone. Your demeanor, because I don't know, and I'm sure Josie's lived long enough to walk this many times. You can automatically walk up to someone and you can feel how you need to approach them a lot of times because they have this, whoo, what is wrong with you? You know, we can feel it. And we have to be careful about communicating in that sense because we can take it personally when it's really nothing about us. They've had something else to deal with.
And most of us, if you stop and think, and not just me, but a lot of people, I can look at someone that's said something to me and I know when they're lying. And there goes the visual again. Some people, when they lie, they can't look at you. They'll even get twitches like their eyelids, or they get nervous. They play with their hands. There's so many visual signs that a liar will show. And so much easier to tell the truth because then you don't have to remember your lie.
And that's what I wanted to say. You don't have to have a good memory if you tell the truth. Telling a fib, and I don't understand why people they are untruthful just when it's not even necessary to be untruthful. And when you first start communicating with someone and you start off on that foot, that you're not being honest and you're not telling the truth, and maybe the person's not like you and I, Josie, they can't pick up on someone not being truthful with them, but later on they finally pick up on it. They are so hurt from thinking the beginning was truthful and realizing that it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the sad part, by the time that type of personality picks up on it, they have been devastated. They have been hurt so drastically. And then when they do acknowledge that they know that person's lying and deceiving them, usually that other person will attack. That just happens.
Claudette said, I'd be as hurt if a friend doubted me when I was being honest. Yeah, that's true, because they can mistake it that you might have been dishonest, but you were really
Being
feeling
honest.
the way you were feeling. Yeah. But I feel like if you're friends and really good friends, you're going to pick up on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there is a comment here about disadvantages of face-to-face communication, prone to misinterpret. And
yeah, that's what Claudette was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And difficult to record. The one nice thing, well, more than one nice thing with written communication, say if someone does attack you or accuse you of being a liar, you got it recorded. As what is, Ella calls them receipts, right?
Yeah. I call it CYA, cover your, that's what I always heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need the receipts, by the way. It comes in handy.
And it's a sad thing that you would need receipts, but in, like, here on YouTube, there's so much dishonesty and so much jealousy and so much competition that you almost always have to have receipts. And I think for most people, the hardest thing to do is really trust someone on YouTube, because people are so fickle. I mean, one day they might tell you something and they really believe what they're saying they meant. But the next day they decide, oh no, that's not the way I feel, And
I had said I wasn't going to say anything personal, but if you will allow me, I'll say one thing. I will never, ever let anyone control my auctions or my channel because of money. No matter how much I need money, I would rather starve first.
That's called integrity. And
yep,
I don't think you could, anybody that is a Christian, especially me, just speaking for me, I don't see how they could live with their self thinking, I'm going to let this person do anything they want because I know they spend X amount of money in my auction.
Yep.
I mean, I could not live with myself doing that, and I would not put my chat through that and my other buyers, through that, because eventually your other buyers are going to pick up on that communication.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing.
I mentioned that because I had that situation happen not too long ago, and I decided I'm never going to sell my soul for money. So enough of my personal thing.
Claudette said, I cannot believe the crap that goes down in the YouTube world. I wouldn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. It's
you have to have thick skin, and you have to be able to say, look, people are going to be people, one thing I had written down on mine was, stay within your boundaries. When you go to communicate with someone, don't overstep your boundaries. What you have to understand, and we have to understand, is people have a certain space. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people recognize it today, but used to, you had 3 foot of space, you know what I'm saying, all the way around your body, that unless you invite somebody in, they're not supposed to invade your space. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's wrong in some areas today, is that people overstep their boundary and they get into people's space without being invited in, and that's where it all blows up.
Victoria came in. I love when Victoria and Ella
they communicate well with each other.
They communicate so well. I love it. I only got to stay in a short time because I had things to do today, but listening to those two just brightened my day.
It always makes me feel so much better. I can wake up and I can be
Yeah.
hurting so bad, and I'm like, okay, did you get your pain under control?
Yeah.
And then I can
That's
turn
true.
them on and start watching it, and I go to laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're fixing to tie up, and they are fixing to get into it, and it's going to be hilarious.
But when you can, I guess for me, now, I can't say I've always been this way. When I was young, I was very shy and it was a lot more difficult. But to me, if you can talk to somebody and talk a situation out like two adult people and use good communication skills, we wouldn't have half of the problems that we have in this old world if we
Exactly.
just talk about it. If something's bothering you, why lie about it? Why not go to that person and say, "Hey, can we talk?" and explain to them in a nice way, not rude, in a nice way. You know what? I didn't really. What did you mean by that when you said that yesterday? I didn't quite understand it. And
Even if you can't resolve it, and you
yeah,
don't, does not mean that you have to not respect each other. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Ella fired Victoria
I
today. She
just
said,
was laughing about that. Was my grin. I was reading that. Yeah,
and then
just
Victoria said Ella wouldn't know what to do without me. I agree on both of those
I
statements.
do
Number
too.
one,
I love it. I
Ella,
love it.
that's hilarious. And number two, Victoria, I agree. Ella would not
But
know
see,
what to do.
okay, can I use them for an example? They
Exactly.
have
Yes.
great communication because they know they're kidding, they're joking, they're having fun. They're not taking their remarks personally.
Right.
They're entertaining and they have that closeness that we should have with other people, that they can talk that way and they're not getting mad and leaving, you know?
Okay. So you know from experience that there's certain people that have chemistry. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And you can find this on YouTube all the time. People that collab together, you go, wow, they work really well together. Like Ella, Victoria, and Nikki's in there. She works well with them. You and I work well together. Ella and I work well together.
Yeah.
Which I'm always like, am I fired, Ella? Are you renewing me for a second season? She laughed so hard when I said that. I said, I didn't know if we were going to get renewed or not. And she just laughed. But there's some people that can work well with each other that makes it easier to
Mhm.
communicate.
Yeah.
What is difficult is when you come across those people that are hard to communicate with or don't want to be communicated with, you know?
Yeah. And you know, if somebody says something to you and your feelings are hurt, just go to that person. They 9 times out of 10, they did not mean it the way you took it. And
Yes, I
we're
agree
all
with that.
human. We're all human. We all get our feelings hurt. And if you say you never get your feelings hurt, you're lying. Every one of us gets our feelings hurt. As much as people say I'm tough, which I am, hey, I can cry at night. I can get my feelings hurt. I'm not just this hard boiled tough. We all are human. So if somebody hurts your feelings, go to them, ask them. Hey, if you don't like their answer, then that's your choice, whether you want to be around them or not.
Okay, the way I look at it, you have to value someone's opinion before you can get offended. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yep.
You have to put that person a higher than what you are in order for you to get offended. And I'm not easily offended because I think we're all on the same playing field. You know what I'm saying? And one's not above the other. And I just have always had that in my mind. I don't think I'm better than anyone, but no one's better than I am either. You know? And if people would just have that concept and communicate in ways that are not dysfunctional, because I see that so much.
Yep.
She said, I love Ella so much, even if it doesn't show.
We
Oh, it
know
shows, Victoria.
it
It shows.
shows, you know, if you guys didn't love each other and respect each other, you could not tease like you do. you would last one day or 1 hour, and one of you would get off and say, I'm not talking to her again. But
How dare her
let's
say that
say,
to me on live YouTube? I cannot believe she's done me that way. You know, that would be your first thought. But see, neither, and we hate to keep using Ella and Victoria as an example, but neither one of them has the personality of getting offended. You know what I'm saying? By something real. Now I'm sure they can, but not something that minute.
they'd fight it out. They'd solve it. You know, they would solve it. And
It would actually hurt my heart if they come to a point of not being able to resolve something. It would literally hurt me, and I don't even have anything to do with that relationship. But it is such a good relationship. I would think it had to be something really, really bad. You know,
don't see on YouTube, you don't see a lot of good working relationships. You see some that, they look like they're having fun, but you don't also know what's going on behind screen. And I am very blessed to be able to work with Angie and Pam Treasures. Pam's a wonderful Christian lady. And I think she knows I talk a lot. But when she's down, I try to bring her up and lecture her, and she does the same for me. So,
and I think that's what friends are for, and that's where the communication comes in. When you are friends, you can start encouraging and saying, it's fine the way you feel, but it's like you say, Josie, you only have 72 hours. Then you got to move on. If you need some extended time, we can talk about it. But right now, it's 72 hours.
I say my best friend taught me that years ago. A friend of 30 years, she said, you have 3 days for your pity party, and then you get off and I won't say it online, starts with an A.
And you move on.
And you move on. And so anytime I feel a little down, I remember Joy, she has passed on 3 years ago. I give myself 3 days. We're human. We have downtime.
Hello, Gaza and Papa Smurf Ron. Welcome in.
Good to see everyone.
You get offended? Am I hearing it for the first time? Oh, Victoria said, I get offended and she does too, but we are friends and we get over it fast. And then Ella said, you get offended? Am I hearing it for the first time? Yep, Josie, this is Pam. Yep, Josie worked on me today and really helped me. See, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Hey, Wildflower, welcome in.
And I tell people. Do
you want to come sail with me, kicking Victoria out the door? Ella, you might be jumping from the frying pan into the fire if you really want to know the truth. She said, offended isn't the right word, Ella. I get pissed off at you being
better description.
Better.
She meant description. I think.
Okay. Y'all are so funny.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like sisters are a really best friend you've had your entire life that you can say anything to.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Selena. I'm stressed at work due to tax season, and so I had a petty cry today, and she was there regardless. See, that means so much.
It does.
When you have someone there that says, stop, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. You're okay. Take your moment. And here's my theory. Have your moment. Don't let somebody tell you, oh, stop acting like that. You don't have to, no, have your moment and move on.
And remember, true friends will love you no matter if you're up or down. And communication, again, it's all communication.
When you go to China, it's like Josie was saying, when you, okay, this is what I've always wondered about perfect. You think it's a perfect friendship, and then all of a sudden something derails. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have a clue what was the underlying thing because you're thinking, oh my gosh, they were such good friends. What happened? What could have possibly happened? But I never understood why people couldn't just get together and be honest with each other and say, look, this happened and you did this and I thought you did this and maybe I misunderstood. But 9 times out of 10, or maybe that not that many, people will just walk away after 10 years of friendship and just say, I'm done. I'm done.
Well, and I tell people, and anyone who knows me well, I am older than any of you. I kind of got the mother, instinct in me. And when I see somebody's hurting, and I've seen a lot in my life in my 84 years, I don't want younger people to make the same mistakes I made. And so I have a habit of maybe over communicating.
And I feel like that's okay when and I know Josie probably does the same thing. I usually, it's a prayer thing for me. If I know somebody's going through something and I feel like they are, I pray about, okay, should I approach them? Should I suggest something? Should I say something? If it's something that's been going on for a long period of time, is what I'm saying. And then when I start communicating with them, they're like, oh, I'm so glad you mentioned it. I feel like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you just ask or just say, I need somebody to talk to, But sometimes people will not communicate.
And they will not. And if something upsets them, to me, and I learned this the hard way when I was young, believe it or not, old Motormouth here used to be very quiet and timid. And if somebody hurt me, I wouldn't say anything. But it was like I kept a list in my mind.
A recording. Yeah.
Yeah. And after I got to about 10 or 15 recorded negative things, then I could walk away. I may not argue with you. I wouldn't, and I learned over the years, that's not the way to be.
I think that's a source of protection to protect you from, because I think in some way I had that too. And to me, it was like I protected myself from being hurt any more than I had been hurt. And I can understand that. What is this, Josie? Pam said, Josie, by the way, I took her
ibuprofen.
Oh, ibuprofen. Okay, good. Because all right, let me say this.
Good girl.
I know when people are in pain that you cannot communicate like someone that's not in pain. Because when you suffer with pain for 24/7, it gnaws at this. And you cannot, it will get to you in a minute. And people will want to be doing this and that. And you're hurting so bad, all you can think about is that pain. So I can completely understand that pain is going to change people. I understand that.
And with the communication, I want to say something too. In any of these conversations or chats that we've had, and even on my Saturday chat, I have met people that maybe at first my reaction wasn't as positive as it should have been. And when I really learned a little bit about their life and what they've been through, and it was like an awakening. It's like, oh my gosh, that person is really a lovely person, a nice person. And I can understand why maybe their personality is that way.
When on the other hand, when a person realizes that you're going to accept them for who they are, and you're going to be okay with the person they are at that time, which they could change and they probably will, they're more apt to communicate with you in a better way than if you just say, I don't like them. I don't like the way they act. I don't like where they are in their life. I don't like what they stand for. I don't like whatever. Then your communication with that person is going to be very bad. It's not going to be a good one. That won't happen with me and Ella. I am moving her butt closer to me, so she has to behave.
Oh,
I am so glad that Ella is moving closer to Victoria, and I think it'll be closer to Nikki because I think Victoria's in the middle of, like, it's Ella, Victoria, and then it's Nikki, like she's in between the two.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
so glad that Ella is moving closer to people that can help be there for her.
And they care about her. They care about her. They really care about her. You can see that. It's to me, it's, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was supposed to read that. Yeah, she's got that good aging gene, Victoria. We all age by a gene. It's not really time. And some people have a good aging gene and some people don't. And, I understand why friends can't come together and say, you did me wrong. Let's talk. Instead, they walk away from the friendship, leaving the other wondering what happened. Yeah, I know, Ella, I can relate to that. And that's why I believe it says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Don't go to bed angry. Because once you do, you wake up the next morning and you kind of say, well, I'm still mad. And you just let that seed grow and grow in anger instead of taking care of it when it happens. And it just grows into, you're not speaking anymore.
And think about this. Think about some of the things that we as humans argue about or get our feelings hurt about. Does it really, really matter? In the long run, I'm talking about little stupid things. I'm not talking about really serious things, but look at how many people just will walk away from you because they don't like something you said or what you believe, your way of life. It's none of our business, really, as long as, you have a relationship with that person.
I think it's neat that you can have a relationship with somebody that is different than you because it allows you to see someone else. And you already know how you are. I want to be around somebody that's not like me so I can, maybe learn something or have more fun. You know what I'm saying? Some people, like myself, don't like to burden people with their problems. Now, see where, and I'm going to say this to Claudette, because Claudette helps me so much and she lives in Canada. She even watches my weather to tell me that a tornado is coming toward my house.
Really? Wow.
But she has to understand that we care about her as much as she cares about us. Yeah. And we want to listen to her as much as she wants to listen to us if something's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people don't realize that. Yep, prayer. I'll ask my buddies now, do you want me to sugarcoat what I think or do you want the truth? My daughter has appreciated that all these years. Yes, I agree with that.
I do not like sugarcoating. If I'm doing something wrong or if I said something wrong, I want to know the truth. I may not like it, but I'll tell you for an example.
Yeah.
For an example, and doctors don't act this way or talk like this, but I remember after I had my first child and you gained weight. I think when I got pregnant, I was 99 pounds. Well, I went up to 135. And the doctor told me when I went for my 6-week check, well, for a young girl, you're sure overweight. And he actually called me fat. And you know what? I thought, you sucker, I'll prove to you. And it made me mad, but that mad was good because I went
it caused
home.
you to pay attention and lose weight, probably.
Exactly. I went home and I thought, no one's going to talk to me like that. I'll prove to him. Next time I went back, I'd lost my weight. And so my personality, you tell me I can't do something and I'm going to prove to you I can.
And you still do that today. So there you go.
I do. That's my personality. But what I'm saying, why I bring it up, I would rather know the truth. Because like nowadays, a doctor they're afraid of being sued. So they're not going to tell you that maybe a diet would help you. You wouldn't have to take as many meds. So they sugarcoat it and really basically lie to you. And I like
Victoria says, this is really sad when someone doesn't communicate. Friends should be able to do that so they can fix the problem. Mm-hmm. Victoria, if I do, please call before you call. Victoria, if I do, please call before you visit. No, give me a month's notice. If she moves closer.
I can't wait to hear when you guys live close together.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hilarious.
That is going to be fun.
Renee said, yes, save here first. I think that's why I backed off getting too close to people, especially on YouTube. Yes. Yeah. Somehow Selena snuck herself into my heart, and now I enjoy talking on the phone with her. That will happen. You will find people on YouTube that you will just fall in love with, and you will just want to hear from them, find out what's going on in their life. And it hurts when that person walks away and you don't really understand why. It really does. Scooter said, Ella says, Scooter, that happened to me and still don't know what I did wrong. So I let them go. Yes. You have to let it go. Yes.
And there's this thing of jealousy. And to me, if you really are a friend and you really love your friend, you're not jealous of them. They're allowed to have as many friends as they want. You don't
feel threatened by their personality. You don't feel threatened about their gifts of what they're able to do that you can't do. You're always uplifting them, encouraging them, not putting them down. I guess what I want to say is they're not frenemies. You have frenemies that they want to be your friend, but deep down they're jealous. And
go ahead.
Victoria said, I want that good aging gene. Where do they sell them?
Well, my mother lived to be 98, and she was one of a kind, I'll tell you. That's all I'll say.
Oh, I've been this way all my life. Yeah, it's hard to change when you've been a certain way. She said, I understand, but I don't want to come across as being negative. When you're really good friends with someone and that person really cares and loves you, you're not coming across as negative, because we all have our ups and downs, and we all have our moments of wanting to be by ourselves and don't want anybody to communicate with us. We want to be left alone. But we also have that moment where we say, oh man, I wish I had somebody to talk to. I wish I could have somebody that could relate to what I'm going through, to just listen to me, And a lot of times, Josie, and I don't know if you feel like this, we should listen and be a sounding board instead of trying to give advice. We should just listen to what the person's saying.
Yep, that's true. And like I said, I have to remind myself of that. And now I've learned something since I'm the age I am. When I was young, I used to wonder why older people always are full of advice. You got more advice than you ever wanted. You didn't ask for it. Now I know why, though. It's because we've made mistakes. We've made bad choices. And we don't want you to make them. But I have to remind myself, I cannot save anyone. Everyone's going to make their own mistakes, make their own choices. And that's one thing that I'm guilty of. I have to remind myself every day, you can't save the world, Joe.
Well, Josie, if I have a theory of this. I have learned the greatest lesson through pain and failure. I really have learned so many things. And I think if I don't and I used to think this about my children because I didn't want to see them hurt and go through anything. But I got to the point where I was like, if they don't fail or if they don't feel pain, they're never going to learn anything. You know what I'm saying? So when you come across somebody that you really want to help and they're going through something, I think, okay, is God trying to teach them something? Maybe I'm just there to comfort them, to love them. Maybe I'm not there to make it right, So the next time that person goes through it, they have learned something. And that took me the hardest thing to learn, especially when it comes to my children, because I didn't want to see them hurt or have to go through something that I knew I could fix, And so that's what I had to go through because I was like you. I wanted to get there before it became painful. But then I thought, wait a minute, the greatest things, I learned my greatest lessons through pain. That's how we learn is through pain.
See, and I'm not that, it's weird though. I'm not that way with my kids because I made a pact with them when they were on their own, they supported themselves. I would never tell them how to live, who to marry. And I would say, I may not approve, but you will never know.
Oh, and yeah. I mean, when they were younger, now that they're adults, I do not interfere with.
No, although my son, Clint, says that mom didn't let me cross the street until I was 16, which is a bunch of bull.
Look, Josie, I could see you taking his hand at 16 years old and walking him across the street.
Yeah, and he laughs and he thinks it's funny. That I don't is bossy as I come across sometimes. I never tell my kids how to live their life.
Ella said, Victoria, I'm older than you and look 38 and you look 60. And she said, not today, Satan. Oops, I mean, Ella.
You two are a riot.
Do you really want to hear my problems over and over? Claudette, here's what you have to understand. To us, it's not over and over. To us, or if you're really friends with somebody, you're going through that at that very moment. So it's not over and over. It's a different day, a different time, a different place. Yes, you can share it.
Hi, Leslie. It's so good to see you.
Oh, CJ. Hey, CJ. Welcome in. Well, CJ's going to be 50 on Sunday, I think.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, he's going to be in the 50 club. So he's going to catch up with my generation in the 50s. He'll love it. The 50s are wonderful. I haven't reached 60 yet. I got a couple more years. Ella and I are the same age. She's a couple months older than I am. But he's going to be welcomed into the 50 club.
Hey, 50s, 40s and 50s were the prime of my life. And so I don't like to hear anyone say they're old when they're 40 and 50. I just laugh because that was the prime of my life. I felt fantastic.
Oh, CJ's a go-getter. You would think he was in his 30s. Oh, he just like you, Josie, he's going to, when he becomes your age, he's going to be making loops around younger people.
It's all in the mind. It's in the mind.
I believe you're telling. Yeah, I believe that. It said, Victoria, I just love this about Victoria. She said, I wouldn't mind listening to your problems and being a shoulder to cry on if need be, Claudette. True friends should be willing to be there for each other. Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh, thanks, Victoria. How much time do you have? Hey, Leslie, welcome in. That's one that I have missed. I have missed her so much. Too. And she has, let's talk about communication. Let's stay with that. She has been communicating with us about what has been going on somewhat in her life. And I am so thankful for that, because she just didn't leave YouTube and everybody go, what happened? Where is she? What's going on? She actually is still letting us know that things are going on within her household with health reasons, and her sisters, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Leslie's had her hands full. I feel bad that I haven't taken the time to write to you, Leslie. My schedule is like goofy. That you're in my thoughts and prayers.
All right, here's Pam. This is typical Pam.
Oh, yes.
God bless all of you. My chickens are calling, and my coach is turning back into a pumpkin. That is typical Pam.
That's Pam. That's Pam. I always tease her when we have the later auctions that,
No, she does. That's one thing. That's how true Pam is. She doesn't care what people think about her going to bed early, getting up, at the crocodile. She does her thing. And I can appreciate that so much in somebody that, even if I don't approve of the way they are, I can respect it because they are who they are. It's true. They're not faking it. They're not trying to pretend. I can respect that.
Be yourself. Be yourself. You don't have to be like somebody else.
Everybody's telling CJ 50's the best.
I know I'm not old.
Does anybody in the chat have anything that they want to share about communication?
And that's I'll read this, a conclusion. Effective communication is the backbone of any successful relationship, whether personal, professional. There are several types of communication, including verbal, nonverbal, written, and visual. And each has its own communication, has its own characteristics, advantages, and disadvantages.
I also would like to add on one thing that I wrote down was, don't try to rush the communication. Once you decide that you really want to build a friendship, relationship, or even when you're out in the working world, don't dismiss somebody because you want to get rid of them, and just try to hurry it up. If all possible, slow down, put yourself in the other person's shoes, and actually listen to what they're saying, and don't have your mind thinking, okay, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say, without really listening to what the person is saying. Because a lot of times we disagree with somebody and we already thinking about what we're going to say before we actually hear what they are wanting to say to us. And I have tried to tell my husband this for years. Everybody's brain does not work like yours. That's what I tell him. You cannot expect people to rationalize and everything like you do, because it's not going to happen. I mean, take dyslexia, for instance. People see things backwards. Okay, in their mind, their brain is seeing the correct thing. To them, it is correct. But they have to learn our way of seeing the alphabet. Doesn't mean they're wrong. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with them. It just means they have to learn a total different way of communicating. And a lot of times people with a learning disability gets discouraged because they think something's wrong with them. And it's really nothing wrong with them. It's their brain is not wired like ours is wired. And people want to bully, pick on someone like that, make them feel less than, when I would never do anybody like that. I feel like I'm going to let them be who they are, as long as they don't invade my space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. As long as they don't you don't push it on your beliefs or your way of life onto someone else. It's their choice.
Let me make sure I don't have anything else. Oh, the other thing I have on here is show that you really care about the person. Show empathy and not sympathy, because there's a difference. Sympathy is, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad it's you and not me. That's sympathy. Empathy is you feel what they feel. You know, the pain they're feeling, you actually feel it. That's what empathy is. But sympathy is like, well, I'm sorry that's happening to you, but I'm so glad it's not me. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, Honora, the Stock
And,
Explorer. We are
and
just talking about communication.
I'm just going to read this last thing. Presentation. That's example of communication skills: presentation, negotiation, conflict management, emails, chats, body language, active listening, constructive feedback, emotional intelligence, and open-mindedness. And if you
I want to add to that about emails and things, written communication, even in text message, you have to be very careful when you put something down in writing, because the person could misunderstand your tone, what you really meant to say, what you wanted to say. So you have to be really careful when you're trying to communicate over text message, especially if you had a disagreement.
Yeah.
If you've had a disagreement and you're trying to make it right or make it better or whatever, you have to be real careful about how you type words in, because what you're saying, the other person may not see it like that.
Yeah. That is very true. And like I said, some people, and like I said at the beginning, it's easy to type in words or write words out, but do you have the guts to say it to their face? And that's why if you've ever watched me before, I will always say, if I talk behind your back, it won't be something that I don't have the guts to say to your face.
Exactly. And I've always been that type of person. I think that's why Josie and I are able to, you know, understand each other the way we do and really enjoy each other's company. Because if I say, I'm the same way, if I say something to someone pertaining to you, and then you come to me and say, did you say this? I'm going to say, yeah, but this is why I said it. And this is the way I said it. And this was the conversation that I said it in. You know, you got to set up the whole scenario, because a person can go back and say, oh, it's me, Auntie was talking about you, and make it into this big, huge ordeal. And it really wasn't, you know, and people like to do that. But tonight has been about communication. We hope that everybody has gotten something out of it. My mama always said to never write to someone in anger. Your feeling may change, but that letter will always, yes.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. That's great advice, Victoria. You cannot call back a letter. Once it's out there, it's out there. You wait several days. Look, you wait several, and another thought before we leave, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. You know what I'm saying? So whatever's in here is going to come out here. So you really listen to this when somebody tries to tell you things, that when you are having a disagreement, because the way they really feel is going to come out, because what's in the heart is going to come out.
So happy you've been here, Suzanne.
Oh, yeah, Suzanne. So glad you're here. So glad you've listened.
Wonderful lady.
Always a joy to see you in the chat. But guys, we are going to let y'all go. This has been another monthly time with the calm before the storm. And we will see y'all next month on Josie's channel. And I'm sure it'll be quite interesting. And love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
If you have any suggestions about a topic, please send me an email.
Yes. Anything y'all want to talk about. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Love you.
Thanks for being here.